We made it to the 8 o'clock hour of week 9. It's hard to believe we're already in week 9 of the high school football season. The Esquire Bred Luminais here, along with Alan Waddell and Coach Lou Valden, live from Joe Keller Stadium as the unbeaten East St. John Wildcats and the unbeaten Destrehan Wildcats battle it out. But we're going to pause that game for a second right now because it's time for our All-State Sugar Bowl interview of the week. We want to give mad thanks to the Sugar Bowl for setting these interviews up for us every week. So looking at who we could possibly interview this week, looking at college football, thinking, hey, look, the Tennessee Vols are pretty good. As an LSU alum, I hate it. Didn't like sitting through that game in Tiger Stadium. But I'll give credit where credit is due. The Tennessee Vols are a good football team. It's been a while since they've been relevant in the SEC. Last time, I'd probably say in the 90s with a guy named Peyton Manning. And then right before him, it all got started in the early 90s before Peyton with another guy named Andy Kelly. So Peyton wasn't available this week. So what do? Hey, we got Andy Kelly. So the MVP of the 1991 Sugar Bowl, a guy that set a bunch of records, won multiple SEC championships, led the Vols back to prominence in the college football ranks. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Andy Kelly. Andy, thanks so much for joining us tonight, man. We really appreciate you being with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be with you guys.
All right, so look, let's just get into it. 1991 Sugar Bowl, quarterback for Tennessee. Y'all are trailing Virginia 16-0 at half, 16-3 going into the fourth quarter. And, I mean, what a great fourth quarter. What a great final drive. Cavaliers up 22-17 with about 2 minutes left, and then you come back 7-9, 64 yards, drive down the field. Tony Thompson busting in from 1 yard out for the touchdown. And boom, 23-22, Vols win. Take us back to the game, man.
Well, I tell you what, that was a big night for us. A great memory. Of course, it was a long time ago. Those memories are fading, but it was. Of course, in our opinion, Virginia was a good football team. I think at one point they were ranked number 1 during that season. They had a few injuries, I think that hurt them a little bit, but. They, as far as I can remember, they were pretty healthy for the Sugar Bowl, got most everybody back. I know their quarterback had a little hand injury, but he was still a dangerous player, if I'm not mistaken, Sean Moore and whatnot. But anyway, it was a tough game for us. The first half especially, we couldn't do much on offense. They had us, I wouldn't say confused, but they were throwing some stuff at us that we hadn't seen on film, I guess. And, we weren't able to do much. And thank goodness we made some adjustments at halftime, and we were able to, I guess, establish the line of scrimmage a little better in the second half. And then eventually, as the second half wore on, we were able to move the ball, finally get some points on the board, and we were able to put ourselves in a position to have a chance to make a play at the end or a few plays at the end to win the game. And fortunately, we were able to do it. But it was a tough game, 2 evenly matched teams and 2 teams that had good seasons, and it was an exciting time for us at Tennessee and for me personally. I know as a kid growing up and folks at that time, and for the SEC, making the Sugar Bowl was the pinnacle.
Right.
It was before the conference, split. So the winner of the SEC always got to go to the Sugar Bowl. So as a kid growing up, being a Tennessee fan and following Tennessee, it was always a big deal to try to get to the Sugar Bowl. I remember in '85, I guess I was in high school when Tennessee made it and had the big win over Miami in the Sugar Bowl. So that those memories were in our the players' heads. It wasn't that long ago that had happened, so we wanted to continue the little tradition of Tennessee making the Sugar Bowl when we make it to winning it. So it was a big night and a big comeback and a pretty good game. I think everybody that was there, they were treated to a really tight and exciting ball game for sure.
Yeah, definitely got their money's worth. Y'all walk away, as we said, 1-point victory, 23-22. You're the MVP of the game. Honestly, looking at it, Andy, that's kind of your thing and Tennessee's thing at that time, comeback wins and close victories, because another game that's well known in Tennessee folklore is the Miracle at South Bend, and that's your sophomore year. Y'all trailed Notre Dame 31-7, come back and win a 1-point victory on a comeback, 35-34, and that one goes down to the Miracle at South Bend.
that was obviously a huge game in my career at Tennessee. Coach Majors always used to brag on me. There's a few times that Coach Majors, if he was in my area, sometimes folks would ask me to come introduce Coach Majors if he was giving a speech. So I was honored to do that, and so I would always, talk about Coach Majors. And Coach Majors was always kind enough to always say that I was the best comeback quarterback that he ever coached. And I always remind people that I appreciate Coach Majors mentioning that, but I also appreciate the fact that he didn't mention that a lot of the reasons we had to come back was I was making mistakes early in the game. I was throwing interceptions, which I did at Notre Dame, and
you're just padding your stats, man, right?
That's what it was. I was just setting it up for the dramatics at the end of the game. That's what I tell people now. But yeah, that was a huge game. We got up there, and it was even sweeter because of what happened the year before. They came to Knoxville ranked number 1, and we went toe-to-toe with them for 4 quarters. Probably, maybe my best game in my career was that year, my junior year when we played them in Knoxville. And so year they had Rocket Ishmael, and they didn't have Jerome Bettis yet. He was there the next year at South Bend, but they had just a Zordich and just an all-star lineup of players that went on to the NFL, and we did too. So there was a ton of NFL talent on the field both of those years. But it was such a close game the year before in Knoxville, and we had a chance. They beat us 34-29, and we had a chance at the very end we got an onside kick, and we drove it down. And as time was expiring or close to it, I threw an interception in the end zone trying to, kind of another not a desperate, but trying to come back late to win a game, and we didn't get it done that year. So that made it even sweeter, I guess, a little more sweet the next year when we went to South Bend, and I think they were ranked 3rd, and we were, 8th or 9th, maybe top 10, whatever. So it was a big game, but we went up there expecting to win, and it didn't start out the way we wanted it to, and they jumped on us early, but as in most of the comebacks we had, and nobody panicked. We kind of stuck to our game plan. Our defense made some adjustments, shut down their run game, kind of made them one-dimensional in the second half. We had some huge plays on special teams with a block kick right before halftime that turned into a touchdown, which gave us some momentum going into halftime. And then, of course, the block kick at the end of the game to win it for us. But yeah, we didn't panic. We kind of stuck to our game plan, and we knew what we had planned could work if we just executed it. And as the game wore on, we just started gaining more confidence. Our defense kept giving us opportunities on offense, and finally we were able to start running the ball and mixing it up and throwing it. And, just found a way to make the plays down the stretch. And that's what we said at halftime. We just said, hey, let's get this to the 4th quarter. Let's give ourselves a chance to win this game, put ourselves in the position, and then see what happens. And we were able to do that. And then luckily for us, we were able to make the plays down the stretch to pull out a big comeback win. And it was a special day. Our fans stormed the field, and to be honest, their fans and folks were very gracious. Allowed us to have our time on their field and celebrate. And but it was a big day and a great memory for sure.
All right, talking with Andy Kelly, MVP of the 91 Sugar Bowl for the Tennessee Volunteers. Andy, you're talking about storming the field. There's some storming of the field that came back and just happened recently in Knoxville. I want to get your thoughts about the Vols, man. Having a great year this year. Great win against Alabama a few weeks ago. Saturday, have a huge rivalry game against a ranked Kentucky team. Give us your thoughts on how Tennessee's looking so far this year.
Well, I tell you, it's been a while since Tennessee's had a reason to storm the field, so it's great that I'm so impressed with what Coach Heupel and those guys have been able to do in kind of a short amount of time. This is in his 2nd year. He's gotten Tennessee to this point. I don't think it's a fluke. I mean, they're a good football team. To me, they always appear that they're ready to play, coached well with a great game plan. Obviously, on offense, we're I guess setting records, and with a quarterback that's playing like Hooker is, and the receivers we have, and the offensive line has been probably the biggest I wouldn't say surprised, but I guess the most pleasing thing that I've seen, I think those guys have made strides from last year to this year. They're just really playing well as a unit, and like you say about the quarterback, he appears to be just a wonderful leader. Seems to be really just a great kid, and obviously a fabulous player. And they're putting it together. You know, they've got a long way to go. They've got a lot of big games, as you mentioned, a big rivalry game tomorrow, and it's going to be tough. Kentucky always plays Tennessee tough, and they've got an all-star quarterback themselves, and it's going to be a heck of a night in Knoxville, and hopefully Tennessee can find a way to pull it out to set up the big one again next week in Athens. So, which will obviously be a huge game, but what they've done so far has been impressive. The defense, while we've given up points, we've been pretty good against the run. The defensive line has played pretty well. We've been able to pressure the quarterback a little bit. Of course, it didn't matter last week against Alabama. When you pressure their quarterback, he's still going to find a way to make a play.
Yeah, he's a pretty good ball player.
He's okay. Yeah. But, but at least we were able to get after him, and he had to make some plays, which he did. You know, he had to make some spectacular plays, which he's very capable of doing. But there's a reason why he's got that little Heisman Trophy, I guess, at home sitting on the shelf. But no, overall, this team, they've just impressed me. They appear to have the right mindset. They're playing well, hard for each other, playing for their coaches. I think it appears they're having fun. So I've been impressed with this coach and what he's been able to do. I haven't met him yet. I've been to all the home. I actually went to the Pitt game at Pitt and been to all the home games. So I've been there in person seeing him. I haven't been to a practice yet, but so far I think he's doing and saying all the right things, and it's apparent his teams are ready to play.
Yeah, great year for the Vols, bringing them back up to the SEC prominence. Andy, we enjoyed having you with us tonight. I'm going to get you out on this. So I had to take the bar exam, so I decided, look, I'm going to make guests when they come on, and we do our interviews, take a bar exam as well. But don't worry, you don't need your brother. You don't need a lawyer, okay? You're going to get off easy. Instead of a 3-day bar exam, I'm only going to have 60 seconds, and all the questions are going to be true-false, okay?
We'll give it a shot here.
All right, let's go. Here it is. It's Brad's bar exam. We get 60 seconds on the clock. All right, let's go. True or false? Your high school mascot was the Golden Tornado.
False.
Your high school mascot was the Golden Eagles.
True.
You were a Gatorade All-American in high school.
True.
Your favorite flavor of Gatorade is orange.
True.
You set several records at Tennessee.
True.
Some of the records you set were later broken by some dude called Peyton Manning.
Very true.
You won 2 SEC championships while you were at Tennessee.
That is true.
Peyton Manning never won 2 SEC championships at Tennessee.
That is true.
You played quarterback for the New Orleans Voodoo.
That is also true.
You set records for career touchdown passes, passing yards, pass attempts, and pass completions in the Arena Football League.
That is true.
When you played for the Voodoo, you lived in an apartment on the West Bank.
Now you're going, River Ridge, they consider, is that West Bank?
You're going to be on the East Bank, so we're going to go false on that one.
False.
All right. You met your wife while you were in New Orleans playing for the Voodoo.
100% true.
When you lived here, your favorite radio station was WWL 870 AM.
Oh, absolutely true.
You're related to Brian Kelly.
False.
After the win against Bama this year, you helped carry the goalpost to the Tennessee River.
That is false. I was in the upper deck, and then if I'd have made it down to the field, I would have been out of breath and wouldn't have been able to carry anything.
All right. Hendon Hooker will win the Heisman this year.
That's a true with my fingers crossed.
All right. We're up against the clock. Last one here. The Vols will win the SEC championship.
Again, true with my fingers crossed, hopefully.
All right, let's see. We're going to add it up, carry the 1. All right, Andy, you passed. Congratulations. You're an unofficial lawyer.
Awesome. I'll have to go tell my brother.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. We really enjoyed it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night.
There he is, Andy Kelly, former quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers and the New Orleans Voodoo with the Arena Football League. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with more updates for you right here on the All-State Sugar Bowl Prep Football Roundup on WWL.